something. There's going to be a character that we're starting today. I'm going to walk you guys through it a bit today, but yeah, I'm going to start it with you guys today. So objectives. Students are going to begin to explore character animation in two-boom harmony using the pose-to-pose technique. They will focus on having strong poses with clear silhouettes and lines of action. Students will create a simple pose-to-pose animation in two-boom harmony using the techniques described in class. I'll be going through a tutorial with you shortly. Animation will... Holy Lord! Animation will be on twos. There will be, thank you. There will be a clear silhouette for the two main poses. The animation will have clear arcs. The animation will include an antic and overshoot. Oh Lord. Do any of those terms that I've said, do those terms make sense to you? Antic, overshoot, arcs, and silhouettes. Yes, the Raptors' defeat was very sad. What an exciting run they gave us, though. Such great moments. I loved it. But it was such a bummer. I was so down and sad about my Raps. But I've come to accept it over this weekend and enjoy it for what it was. But yeah, they lost that game instead of being beaten. So that's tough. Okay, so I will go over what each of those terms means, okay, during the tutorial, and I'll make sure that those terms are clear to you guys as we go through them. Assessment. The assignment will be graded based on strong posing, use of line of action, and clear silhouette, clear in-betweening in your animation, proper timing, arcs, and keeping your character on model. So your character rig is Lowry was super clutch. The character model of your Toon Boom rig, you're going to get this character rig and he's going to look a certain way. It feels like you shouldn't be able to break it because it's a nice tight rig. The thing is if you move stuff too much or you skew things too much, limbs start to not look like they should look. You can get away with this on swipes or on the biggest part of your movement. You can skew things a lot. But once you're getting into your main solid poses where your character's still, you should have strong posing and your character rig should be very strong and solid. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about while staying on model. This character rig we're using for this assignment doesn't even have a face kit, so it shouldn't be as much of an issue, okay? Okay, this assignment is due end of day September 28th, 2020. End of day is midnight September 28th, so essentially September 29th. Late assignments will be knocked 10% per day. You know, I've never actually knocked someone on that. I do take off 10% for people who are late, but I don't actually do it per day. I don't want to ruin your average. I want you to always do the work. And again, like I have last year with you guys, I'll continue to do this year. Resubmissions are always encouraged and allowed up until the last day of school. So in our case, I think it's December 14th or something. You can resubmit any assignment you want up to December 14th. Just shoot me an email. Go, hey, Bri, I've put up this new assignment, new version of this assignment on here. Can you remark it? And as long as it's before the last day of school, I will. Okay, and I'll update your mark. So if you really fart the bed on whatever assignment it is, we'll get you moving forward on the next one. Okay, guys. I'm going to open up Toon Boom Harmony. My computer is a little bit slow, so it might take a couple minutes. I'm going to turn it on now. If you guys want to follow along with me and work along with me, go into DC Connect. Let me see where I put this thing. If you go into Content, you'll find there's all of these tutorial videos. And the first file at the top is called Tutorial character copy. So grab that zip file, unzip it, and open up that bad boy, okay? To me? Beauty. Okay. All right, so this is Two Boom Harmony. This is a version of this. So this is Two Boom Harmony. This is the file I was using with the previous class. I'm going to use it again. I'll get this guy back into kind of a normal position that looks more like what you guys have. Okay, so this is more or less what you guys have, I think. What we're going to do is we're going to animate pose to pose. Yep. So what you guys are going to find is when you go through your timeline, your character is just going to disappear at a certain point. I think it's actually on frame 14 for you guys. For our my purposes here, I'm just deleting him at frame wherever. What you have to do is you have to extend the exposure of your character. What it means when he disappears is that when you go into your hierarchy of your character, you'll see that the artwork, this is the artwork layer, the drawings, they end at a certain point. So what you want to do is you want to extend them to the end of your timeline. So when we're working, we always want to have all of our folders shut, okay? We want to work just on this very top layer with one little thingy-bobber here. And we like that because it makes the timeline easier to see, and it makes it easier to not move things where there's no keyframe. If you move things where there's no keyframe, you start to get animation that looks really wonky, and certain things move at some point, but then other things don't move. So, you know, if I put in motion tweed now and I haven't actually, oh, why aren't you? Okay. Oh. You're going to get really weird kind of looking animation. You want to work with keys every time you want to work with keys, okay? So a key on your timeline, you hit F6 and you get a key. Anyways, I'm getting away from myself. The first thing I want to do is I want to extend my artwork, okay? So for this purpose, just to show it off, I'm going to open it up so I can see my artwork layer. I want to go all the way to my last layer, and I want to hit F6. Nope. F5? F5. F5 extends my artwork, extends exposure. So now my character is there for the entirety of the timeline, okay? So that's extend exposure. So when my character disappears, I can just go to the last frame and hit F5. If you're animating and say your character's here, and then your character is here, like that, your character is moving. And then for whatever reason here, your character's arm has disappeared. So this occasionally happens. You're animating and then a limb disappears. So what has happened there is that your character artwork has disappeared. So there's two ways to fix this. You highlight the arm and you open up the character. You just keep opening up the folders until you find the highlighted part. So here it is. And you'll see it's just a blank drawing. What you can do is you can grab these drawings, Command C, go to that layer, Command V. Oh, why is it not working? Oh, there it is. And it'll just put it back in there. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can go here and you can extend exposure again. So F5. Okay. So turn the drawing back on. Okay. Just a little troubleshooting. There's a lot of troubleshooting to go. Okay. So we're doing a pose-to-pose animation. Okay. Thank you, Jericho. I'm going to turn on my settings here so I get the little beep when you guys say something to me. Okay. So we want to do pose-to-pose animation, and we're going to animate on twos. So what I want to get through today is my posing pass with you guys. So pose-to-pose animation, I'm going to work with 2 keyframes. This will be my start pose. This will be my finish pose. Okay. So I want to have a cooler pose in this. I'm going to make my guy, you know, just so I'm doing what I did last class, just so I don't lose the thread too much. I'm going to just do the same thing. I'm going to have my character punch. Oh, shit. So first things first, when you guys click on your guy, you might not have this circle with this line. This is called the deformer tool. Right up here, there's this circle in the X. If you click that on, it'll turn on your deformer tool. Now, your deformer tool moves this entire piece of the rig because when you move it, everything is connected to this deformation body peg. This is the hierarchy, the node view. So this is how everything is hooked together and linked up. And you'll see that the head, the body, and the arms are all clicked into this deformer body for the character. So that means that when I move this deformer, I move all of that stuff at the same time. This is hierarchy. I can move up hierarchy at any point by clicking B, and I'll click up the hierarchy and highlight all the things above it. So every time I step, so I'm starting on the foot, you can see I have the foot highlighted here. I click B, I go up to the shin. I click B, I go up to the thigh. I click B, I grab the whole leg organizer. And then if I click B again, I go all the way up to character master file. Rachel, where was the deformer? The deformer is right up here. It looks like a circle on, can you guys see my mouse cursor when I'm working? Can you guys see my mouse cursor? So it's up on the top bar. It looks like a horizontal line with a circle and a little X under it. Yeah, great. So it's right here, this one. So you see I clicked it off and the deformer turned away. I turn it on and the deformer is back, okay? Now you want to move the deformer, the character with the deformer. If you move the character without the deformer, when you move the character with the deformer, shit, it's doing it again. My drivers are screwed up. When you move the character with the deformer, everything is happy and sunshine. And when you turn on the tween, it moves in a way that makes sense. When you move the character without the deformer, I'm going to grab the body. Notice I'm grabbing the body and it turns purple. I move the body away from the deformer. See how it's getting deformed? And it's not moving the rest of this with it. The deformer is the master peg. You have to move it with the deformer. Otherwise, this whole piece of artwork, which is the body, gets effed. Okay? So make sure you're moving it with the deformer. Okay, so when I move the deformer, if I move it in the bottom half of it, anything under this dot, I can move it on its axis, so it spins and turns around. That's real nice. If I move it above this square, this is how I deform it. Okay. Now I can screw with the height. I can play around with this part, which gets the width, although I pretty much would say you would never want to play with that, but you can if you are an agent of chaos. So those are the things you can do with it, okay? Oh, and one other thing you can do with it. When you're moving the body, you want to move it all. You want to grab it by this crosshair right here on his crotch. Okay? That moves the whole thing around. Okay? Hopefully, a lot of this is review, but I know sometimes after a lot of time has passed, it is valuable to have review. Okay, so I'm going to start making my first pose, guys. I generally, I don't think that there's any hard and fast rule about how you want to pose. You want to think about line of action and you want to think about silhouette for sure. And you guys are going to get marked on silhouette, and that's going to be part of your mark. The image of what the character is doing should still be clear, even though the silhouette of the character should be clear. The pose and what he's doing should still be clear, even if it was all blacked out, right? So that was something we went through a lot in our posing class last term. So because this is the file that I used with the other students, there's a couple things that have already been set here, which are not something that you might have set. So this forearm, this arm, is above the head here, okay? So when you're posing, your situation will be more like this. The arm will be below the head. And that is because in hierarchy, the head is further left on the peg than the arm. Okay? This is the arm and this is the head. Arm, head. So to get the arm in front of the head, I have to hold down Alt and I press the down arrow. And that'll move it forward in what is called Z depth. If I click it again and I press Alt and up, that'll put it behind it. Alt down and Alt up. That's how you move things through Z depth. What a life. Okay. Yeah, so this is a decent starting pose. This is essentially what I did with the other guys. So I am probably going to go through this a little bit quicker because this is my second time through it. But that also means that you guys are probably going to have a better version of this lesson than they did. Okay, so again, I have 2 keyframes. Very important when you're doing pose-to-pose animation. You just keep your 2 keyframes beside each other. And what's nice to have them right beside each other, you're not thinking about timing yet. How'd that happen? Yeah, my drivers are screwed up. My pen, when I'm adjusting things on my timeline, it's screwing up. But if I use it with just to move the character around, the pen's working fine. So that probably means my drivers aren't working. So I'll have to reinstall those once we're done here. It means I'll be using my mouse a bit here too. Okay, so again, 2 frames right beside each other. So start pose, and this will be my final pose. So now I'm going to make the character punch. Punch. Ah. So that was flip horizontal, what I just did there. If you have, I would go to your preferences and change some of these things up. Flip horizontal is one I like to use a lot. So preferences are under edit, preferences. And for this, I would just go to this magnifying glass here and I would go horizontal. And then flip horizontal, you see, comes up down here. And then I would just change your shortcut key. I've already set mine to 4. Yeah. So when you're animating in 2D, what's really important is getting your ground plane proper. So you guys will remember I've talked about ground plane quite a bit to you guys in regards to layout and design and thinking about all sorts of things. So when it comes to character animation, what I'm thinking about is how my character is moving. So locking my feet onto the ground is very important. So for my character to feel solid, I want his feet to feel like they're landing and coming off of a real place. So I would like to turn on my, what do you call it? The onion skins. And when I click my onion skins, it shows me the past. So this is the onion skins here. So I click this on, and what it does is it turns on an image of the past. And so I can see the frame below me. And this bar above my timeline here indicates how much of it I can see. So I can drag this up to the right, and I can see less. I can drag it to the left and see more. Okay. You can also use these icons up here to extend it even more. You'll see this bar is getting longer every time I press this one. And the bar on the right is getting longer every time I press this one. Okay. All that takes up memory and things like that, so all that can affect the performance of your computer, but it's something that I find very useful. Little Zelda joke. That is my favorite Zelda game, Link to the Past. You can probably always tell how old a person is by their favorite Zelda game. So I'm pretty old. Let's turn that off. Let's see how that feels. That's pretty impactful. Things I'm looking for here. Am I breaking the hips? The hips are breaking a little bit. And what I mean by the breaking the hips is where the hip is connected here, to the left of this anchor point on the side of the body. Does this look like where it's connected here? Now the body can twist and move, and I can be seeing a different angle on the body, but the hip is still a solid thing. So the hip bone, even if it's turning, and I imagine it as like a little oval in here, and I'm there, and if he's like stepping forward, it could go all the way over here, and then around. Does this place make sense for it to be? Is where I have put the leg makes sense for where the hip is? And I think when you look at it here to here, that's working, and that's in like an acceptable distance to make it feel like it's working pretty well. So that's pretty good. I feel decent about these. I'm noticing a couple things I want to clean up though. So things that I love to clean up and I think are important to clean up is your joints. So this should feel like a nice smooth line here. Yeah, that should be a smooth line. Instead, this is like boop, like that. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to grab this arm and I just want to smooth out that joint. Okay. See that? That's a really nice arm joint now. Here, that's fine. But I think I saw some on the leg. Yeah, so there. See this knee? Boop. Right? So, shit, still got my pencil selected. So we want to grab that and clean up that line. Okay, that's way smoother. That looks real nice. Now I look at this ankle. I got this little bump on the ankle, so let's clean that up too. Okay. Here we see another one. This one might be harder to clean up. Yeah, I think that one we're just going to have to deal with a little bump there. Okay. So that's a strong pose. Okay. So those are my first two poses. Let's pause my screen share. Is there any questions at this point? That's a pole, mother flippers, using my pole powers. Charlie, yes, there is a way to make it look better. Oh, what's going on here? Is this frozen? There is a way to make it look better, but we would have to use another drawing, essentially. With feet, you can skew them as much as you want. Well, you can't. You can only skew them so much before they start looking totally screwy. For this assignment, yeah. Oh, well, yeah. So in that case, what you would want to do is with this, if you were to make, I guess it'd be easier with this one. So if you were to make like a ballerina type, oh, I'm not screen sharing. What a silly goat. So if you were to make a ballerina, say, and you wanted her foot to work, you have that big knob on the end of it, right? So that'll be problematic for you. So what you can do is, and what you should do with all your artwork when you're manipulating it, is you want to duplicate the drawing. Hi, Andy. My son is coming downstairs.
Oh, Daddy.
Hi, Andy.
Oh, are you on the call?
I am, yeah. I'm teaching. Oh, yeah, I'm working. Okay. Oh, there goes. Oh, wait. They can't see you anyways because you're. So what you do is you go to your library view here, and you click that foot. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to duplicate this drawing. So shoot, where is it again? Duplicate drawing. Where are you? Where are you? Duplicate drawing. I love you. Shoot, how do you do this again? I have also not used this in 48 years. Duplicate drawing. To make sense, I know it's here. How do I do it? It's frustrating. Oh, is it because it's in drawing mode? I have to be in drawing mode. Oh, silly goat. That's got to be it. Yeah, duplicate drawing. There it is. So what you'll find now is I've made a new version of my foot, right? So now you would be able to manipulate this foot and make any changes you want to it. And then you would be able to, ease it into the spot you want it to be, right? And that would be drawing 2. And then when I go back to drawing 1, it just clicks. But you have to duplicate the drawing first. And you do that in drawing mode. I just forgot how to do that. But anyways, again, Charlie, let's not get into that too much yet. Let's just work with what you have here. And, oh my God, this stupid thing. While that may give you a few restrictions, you should still be able to get 2 pretty nice poses out of this character rig. And we can fart around with it later to do better drawings. Yes, Faith, that'll be fine. Ryan, how are you? I am fine, thank you. My kids are fine. They're doing good. My wife keeps the boys home on Mondays, so you'll probably often hear them make little guest starring appearances. So watch for that. How is Middens? Is he here? He's fine, but he's not down here right now. Okay, but yeah, but Charlie, you know what? Like, I don't want to limit you either. Like, if you want to go above and beyond, if you want to go above and beyond and do another drawing for a foot or a hand, that's totally fine. I think Peter Hideki must have given you some materials for that last year. But again, I will say this about my marking, which I had said to you last year, and I'll say it again this year. I'll never ask for you guys if you were to hand in something hand drawn. I would never ask for it in color. I would never ask for you to do anything beyond the worksheet. You know, what is asked for in the worksheet is what I'm asking for, and that is what I'm marking on. So if you're making new pieces and new parts, I'm not going to give you more marks for going above and beyond, but I do encourage you to go above and beyond, but I'm not actually marking you as if you've gone above and beyond. And really, I would really want you to focus on the nuts and bolts stuff at this point anyways. Okay, let's get back after it. Yeah, you have Descent too. That's awesome. Do you have second edition, or this is first edition, which is super old school? I should have waited for first edition, for second edition. But yeah, I bought first edition. Yeah, because second edition had the cool app support, which first edition does not have. Okay, so I have these two keys. So now I want to make an antic and an overshoot and a settle. So my start pose is now going to be this blank keyframe. I'm going to hit F6, start pose. The next frame, this will be antic. This, which was my final pose, will now be overshoot, and this will be settle. Now, you'll notice I don't have tweeting on. I have them right beside each other, so I can easily go through the keys one after another with the left and right arrows on my keyboard, okay? When you're posing, it's really important to be able to toggle through these things quickly to get a sense of how your animation's looking to keep it going, okay? All right, so going into an antic. So my character's stepping forward. So what is an antic? Well, actually, let's just go over these quick posing things first. So I mentioned silhouette. So silhouette's important. If I blacked out, if I had blacked out this character, the character's silhouette would still be clear. This arm is forward here. This arm, there's a little bit of negative space here, so we can see a bit of separation and get a sense of where this other arm's going. And we got a hint of this hand coming down here. The legs are well separated. There's a clear silhouette. The next pose, if this is blacked out, there's more than enough separation to be able to tell that the character is stepping forward and punching. Okay, so that is what I consider a good silhouette. Okay, and these are strong lines of action too. Like this character has this nice kind of thing going on like this, and then this character is very much like that, right? Okay. So why that happened, where it was mirrored, guys, is because I was on a layer. I'm still on a layer that has a mirrored one, which is the feet. If I draw it here, oh, that's fun. If I draw here, which is on the bone for, so now I'm on the deformer layer. I'm drawing a straight line. Watch what happens to my straight line. It bends like the deformer's already bent. That's neat, eh? Okay, so let's go back to antic. So I'm anticing. So my character is moving forward, okay? So that means my character is going to go a bit backwards on his antic, okay? So he's going to be psyching himself up for this punch. So he's building the power up for the punch. So he's going to be coming in and compressing a bit and then exploding forward, okay? Tricky thing with Toon Boom is that the feet have to stay anchored on the ground. But because of hierarchy, you have to work from the top down. So the feet are always a really big BITCH. Let's turn that on. So we want the legs to now feel compressed, but we also don't want them to look like, you know, I have to get that angle right, but I also have to move from the top first. So it makes it harder to pose the feet. That is my one big anger piece with Toon Boom, is that it's a real headache to move the legs around. I'm thinking in comparison to Flash, which is actually the program I'm working in now, and is usually the program I use when I animate, because when I tend to get animation jobs, I tend to work for Solace Animation, whereas when I'm doing storyboard jobs, I'm in Toon Boom usually. So I haven't actually animated professionally in Toon Boom in quite a while. Although I still animate, you know, I'm animating in 2D right now. I'm just not animating in this program, but they're all essentially similar programs. But yeah, Flash and Tubing have a lot of similarities. The price tag is one of the big differences. And part of the reason I like Flash is that it's quite a bit cheaper. I guess this has turned into me talking about why I like Flash more than Tubing. Really, I don't feel that strongly about it, but I do feel like Flash is just cheaper, which I appreciate as a Scottish person. Okay, so my character is compressing and coming into himself, right? So he's coming in. So what was happening with the feet was when I bent them, they weren't in the right place for the hips. So what I ended up doing was instead of reposing where the feet was, I just made that guide where the hips went a bit more. So I cheated it that way, but it works pretty well. I'm watching the hips. I'm making sure they're not breaking. So they're staying roughly in the same space where they were before. You'll notice my feet are locked onto the ground. 2D animation, it's super important to keep your feet locked onto the ground for your character to feel like they have gravity and weight. Okay? So they're not moving. They're not shaking off that line. Okay? So that's my antic start pose, antic. And now this one will be overshoot and this will be settle. Okay? So an antic is the anticipation. Antic is short for anticipation. I'm anticipating this big movement. So what the antic does is it catches your eye and it makes your eye go, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be watching this character. Shazam. Okay? So it gets you ready for the big action. Overshoot settle is something that emphasizes the impact and then you settle into the pose. So the emphasizing the impact is generally an exaggerated version of your settle pose. So an exaggerated version of the settle pose. I'm starting here. Oh, shit. I'm starting here with my start pose. I'm going this way for my antic. And then I'm going this way for my exaggerated overshoot. And then I'm going back this way into my settle. So that's going to be the character's movement. Okay? Again, I know you guys have gone over all this stuff in your basic animation classes, I'm sure, but you've been off for summer. Let's revisit the classics. You know what? I'm kind of second guessing this. Well, you know what? I got the overshoot. I can make this a bit more exaggerated here. So I'm gonna make my character push forward here. And again, I'm going to let my legs do a bit of the guidance here on his final position, but I know what I kind of want. So I want my character to go forward and then settle back. And you know what? I'm going to calm this down. Oh, mother flipper. I'm going to calm this down a bit. I do think you should be pushed a bit forward here. Oh, Brian, now you've done it. Oh, wait. No, that did work. Yeah, so it'll be like that. So this will go up further. So what I just did there was I wanted his chest to be leaning forward in his final pose too. Because in the final pose before, it was a bit more up like that, but I still think it should be forward. So I just adjusted that final pose a bit. So his arm's going forward, and now his head's going to go a bit forward too. Okay. Get that going like that. And this leg is going to stretch out a bit. I wonder, no, I can't do that. Silly talk. I was thinking, could I just skew it all the way? But I think that would break it for sure. Let's do a poll while you watch me. How many of you guys are? Oh, stop plug list for salt. I don't even know what that poll was for. Are you guys in Oshawa? Yes, no. Yeah, okay. I'll skew that one back into place a bit more, but that's pretty much fine. So now what I got to do is I got to make these feet work, okay? So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to do one more here. So the feet are what are important here. That down. So you can see it's just chambered a little bit more, like the leg is chambered. In martial arts, they call it chambering when your leg is bent. And then it settles into space. So here, we get this leg there-ish. And then that foot is going to have to come down like that. And is that going to work? Looks like I need to bend that foot down a bit more. So again, planting these feet is so important in your final posing. Okay, now let's turn off the onion skin and look at how these poses look. I think I'm going to have to do a bit of tweaking on the hips. So antic, overshoot, settle. Not much. You know what? I think the whole body is going too far forward because it looks like he's going. So it looks like he's going too far in on this knee too. If you watch this space between this knee to the hip here, see how much it grows there? So I think what that says to me is that I'm going too far forward with the body. Yeah, that looks more reasonable. And look what that did. It auto-fixed my hip here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, I could probably do a bit more on the head, but that's, I think, fine. Okay, so starting pose, antic, overshoot, settle. Okay. All right. So it looks like very few of you are in Oshawa. Sorry, Oshawa. Okay. So here's another poll, guys. Does anyone have any questions from what I just showed you? Thank you, Valerie. Sorry about that. So what did I say? I said something about descent. Anyways, Brett, I wish I also got in second edition. Charlie, antic, overshoot, settle. So it's starting position, starting pose, whatever you want to call your starting pose. For this assignment, I don't want your starting pose to just be the guy standing with his hands at his side. Be a bit more dynamic. So in my case, I had this fighting pose. You could do something else. Even if it's an at-rest pose, make it a cooler at-rest pose. So give it a little bit of swag, a little bit of character, something to make it a bit more dynamic than just standing with your hands at your sides. Okay. So starting pose, antic. So the antic is the anticipation, like in my case, the starting. He's starting and he's coming back. That's the starting pose. Then the overshoot, and then settle, which is also the final pose. So it's start pose, antic, overshoot, settle. Boop, 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 boop. Something again, finish. Overshoot, settling. Yes, thank you. How do you flip hands and feet so that they're facing the opposite way? Okay. So I don't know if I showed this or not. I think I did show this. So in this case, I can't remember who asked the question, but it's for me, it's 4, There's many ways to skin the proverbial cat. Click on this bad boy. I believe there is a option in here. Insert keyframe, drawing tools. Oh, someone's microphone's on. Who is it? It's not there. Rotate view.
Julian, turn your mic off.
That was exciting. Anyways, I don't even know why I'm trying to find it this way for you guys, but the truth is that you should always use your hotkeys. It's going to save you so much time in your life. What I would do is I would go to Edit, Preferences, and what I always do is flip horizontal is one of the most powerful and important hotkeys you need. So what you do is you go to this magnifying glass here, okay, and you write in HORIZ. Okay, it'll bring up this one. I'll highlight it. Flip horizontal. So for me, I have it set to 4. I think the default is Control Shift 4. For me, I use it so often, I've cheated it to just 4. Okay, and that's something that I would suggest for you as well. You know, I'm where is that at, though? I do want to find it. Maybe I should find it later because it's not very exciting watching me go through all these to figure out where the flip horizontal tool is. Someone's probably figured it out in the messaging. What was that suggesting? In edits? Yeah, maybe it's in edit. Let's find out. Oh, I'm not even highlighted. You definitely have to have it highlighted. Duplicate group. Nope. Okay, why can't I take my own advice? Just use your hotkeys or go through all those files and figure it out. But essentially, I would suggest always using your hotkeys. There has been like, I can't remember who did it, but I remember there was like some kind of thing where somebody did a scene, 2 guys did the same scene, and like one guy used hotkeys and one guy didn't. And it's like you save so much time using hotkeys. So, you know, make sure you start getting comfortable using hotkeys, because if you're going through every single drop-down menu to do something that you can just do by pressing, you know, especially in Toon Boom, like Control K, Control L, which turns on your in-betweening, F6 for keyframes, flip horizontal. There's some that are just so important that you use so often, you want to make sure you're using them, okay? Anyways, I'm sure you guys are all like incredible keyboard warriors, so I'm sure you guys are all good at hotkeys. Okay, so it's 11:25. So I will just show one more thing. Let me check my clock here. Edit. It wouldn't be in drawing mode, or it shouldn't be in drawing mode, because that's how you affect the actual artwork. So what I want you guys to have done for me for next week is these start poses. Okay, so I want you to have your starting pose, your antic, your overshoot, and your settle. I also want you to have them spaced out like this. So we're going to be working on 2s. So what 2s means is that every other frame there is a keyframe. So between every one of these keys, I want you to have at least 2 in-betweens. Let's just say 2 in-betweens. So that means there's going to be 5 frames between each key. So I count it out like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I release it. So now there's enough space for 1 key there, 1 key there, and then a blank key, and then I'm back on the keyframe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I'm just moving it by 5 frames in between each key. That leaves enough space for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames between each key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I fuck that up? Yeah, I fucked that up. 5. Okay, so starting pose, antic, overshoot, settle. Now, what I've just shown you with my antic, overshoot, settle and how I've adjusted my timing, this is really quick and sloppy timing that I know works. that I use often in the studio when it's like a normal moment that I'm just trying to get through to get to the hard stuff. This is timing that I know works, that I use often, and is kind of just like a quick and dirty, get in and get out kind of timing, okay? When you're doing really beautiful, big character moments, you're going to have softer settles, you're going to have really dramatic antics, you're going to have really nuanced acting. When you're doing stuff that is just a quick little character beat like this, maybe it's just quick and sloppy, or quick and dirty timing like this. I don't want to say sloppy because it wasn't sloppy, but it's quick and dirty. This is just something that I know works and I can use it, and I use it all the time. It's like a shorthand, like whenever you're really good at drawing, like when you're like not thinking and you're just doodling, you'll doodle like the same Ninja Turtle face over and over again. It's the same way with animation. Like once you get to a certain point and you've been doing it for long enough, certain timings just become kind of rote and automatic, and they work. So it's good to have those under your belt. So what you will do is you're going to make those 4 poses for me, and you're going to separate them by these poses. Then you will save it, and you'll bring that to class next week. What we're going to do next week is we're going to get into timing and arcs. I'll give you a quick preview of that. So separating all of these, I highlight the first 3 keyframes, and I hit Control-K. That's going to turn on my auto tweeter. Now, when I turn on my auto tweeter, now if I play it, we'll get a good sense of what it's going to look like. You'll notice my back leg is disappearing. It's turning in Z depth and then flipping to the other side. So what the auto tweeter does is it finds the straightest, quickest way to get from A to B. And when you flip something horizontal like I did with that leg, what that means is you are seeing something in a 2D drawing, which is 2-dimensional. When you see it and it is turning to flip horizontal, it's skewing it towards you. So when it disappears, you're actually looking at the depth of a 2D drawing, which is flat. So it appears to disappear. So our job now is to make that drawing reappear, make this timing nice and tight, and fix these arcs. When I look at this head, let's go to this pose. I turn on my onion skin. Let's just turn on the head. So if I click on just the head, it'll show me just the head for the onion skin. And I go backwards in time, and I can see my thing here. It shows I'm going back to my last key. You'll see my arc is completely straight, right? That's garbage, right? I'm doing a punch, whatever I'm doing, I'm always going to have some kind of arc to it. So my character is going to step up into the punch and then come down. This arm in this pose is chambered up here, and then it comes out here. So it's starting here. So it's going to come up, 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 and then bang out. We're always thinking and looking for these arcs. His butt. If we look at the arc of that, look at just the bottom of the butt. I just love saying butt. Again, it's attached to the deformer, so that's why it didn't work. It's straight across, okay? So we want that to also go up, have a nice arc like that, okay? So there's different ways to, attack this again. With timing, you can use what is called the, what is this called? The timing chart. Oh, set ease for multiple parameters. So what we can do here is we can adjust this. So what these straight lines represent is the arcs and the timing. And you'll see the space between one key. So this is frame 29, frame 31, frame 33, and frame 35. These are by thirds. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So the timing is completely even. What that is telling me is the timing is completely even. If I want to favor a certain key, in this key I want this drawing to go into the overshoot. I want to see more of this antic because he's going to pop into that overshoot, and that'll make it look like he's punching powerfully. So I'm going to be affecting the timeline to the right of this key. So right time ratio. So I'm going to hit 75 here. And when I apply it, you'll see this curve changes. So it's way less than a third to get to 29 to 31. Then it's about a third to get to 33. And that means the distance covered between frame 33 and 35 is 2/3 of the motion. Okay, so close. Now when we look at frame 29 here to 35, you'll see the tweens are very tightly packed at the beginning and then quicker. Okay, let's watch it again. Okay, so the punch feels more impactful. Okay. Turn on the onion skin. Highlight, oh shit. Highlight the head. The head, please. No, whatever, fine. You'll see that the heads are packed closer together over here, and then the timing becomes way looser. If I turn off my onion skinning, now I can even just put in these keys here, F6, F6, click on this one, Command L, turn it off. Now it's on 2s, and you'll see it's got a lot more zip. Bang. Shazam. You were never my father. Things like that. Okay. Now, these tweens suck. Okay. The timing is there. That's it. But the posing and the arcs, none of that is there. So I have to adjust all of that. And I'd probably take a little bit more care with my timing adjuster, but I can adjust that on the fly. So now what I would be doing is I would just be adjusting these things to get nicer arcs. And it's just really just like that, like twisting it, like even something as simple as that, where I just did it nice and sloppy. It feels like he's stepping up and into it a bit more. Now, as an animator, it's now my job to make these feet work. It's now my job to fix the tween editor. Yeah, we're still the all-important hand in this work. Okay. Where was that option?